My name is Anna, and I am 37 years old. I am married to John, who is much older than me. He is 59 years old, and we've been together for almost 19 years. We have 2 daughters. Our eldest is 18, and our youngest is just 1 year old. Our family life has always been fairly simple. John works hard to provide for us, and I stay at home to look after the children and manage the house. We've always been a close-knit family, or so I thought. At first, everything seemed perfect. We had the love of our children, a roof over our heads, and a steady income. But recently, everything began to unravel, and what seemed like a perfect life was slowly turning into my worst nightmare. It all started one day when I discovered something that shook me to my core. I found out that John, my husband of nearly 2 decades, had a girlfriend. I was devastated. My heart felt like it had been ripped out of my chest. I never expected something like this. John and I had been through so much together, raising our children, buying a home, and building a life. But now I was facing the painful truth. The man I trusted, the man I thought would always be there for me, had betrayed me. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I had been blindsided. We had always been a happy family. Yes, there were struggles, like any other family, but nothing that ever made me think something like this could happen. John was my husband, my partner, my best friend. I never imagined that he would do something like this to me. I tried to talk to him about it. I asked him gently. At first, "John, is it true? Do you have a girlfriend?" But instead of being honest with me, he became angry. He accused me of making things up and said I was being dramatic. He denied everything, telling me that there was no truth to my suspicions and that I was just imagining things, but I knew in my gut that something wasn't right. I had to get to the bottom of this. One night, while John was in the shower, I decided to look through his phone. I didn't want to invade his privacy, but I had no other choice. When he found out, he was furious. He yelled at me, demanding to know why I was looking through his things. He said it was an invasion of his privacy and that I had no right to check his phone. But I needed answers. I needed to know if the man I had been married to for almost 19 years was telling the truth. The more I searched, the more I found. I checked the phone bill and saw a strange number that John had been calling repeatedly. It was a number he called almost every day, sometimes multiple times a day. My heart sank as I realized that this was the number of his girlfriend. I had to know more, so I decided to call it. When the woman answered, I was stunned. She didn't even seem surprised to hear from me. In fact, she sounded almost casual about it, as if she had been waiting for me to call. She confirmed that she was indeed John's girlfriend and that she had been seeing him for some time. She told me that she was my age, married with a daughter just like me. She told me that it wasn't her problem if I found out about their relationship, and that if my husband found out, it would be on me. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. I could barely breathe, my mind racing with thoughts of betrayal, sadness, and confusion. How could this happen? Why would John do this to me? I confronted John again. I told him that I knew the truth and that I had spoken to the woman. At first, he was defensive and tried to deny it, but when he saw how serious I was, he admitted it. He told me that he had been seeing her for a while and that it wasn't something he was planning on ending anytime soon. He said he would end things when he was ready, but not because I told him to. He was angry, and I could see the coldness in his eyes. It hurt more than I could put into words. This wasn't the first time something like this had happened. When our first daughter was born, John had cheated on me then too. I had forgiven him, thinking it was a one-time mistake. But now, with our second daughter, it was happening all over again. I felt like I was losing my mind. I was home, taking care of our children, raising our family, and this is how he repaid me? I felt like I didn't even know who he was anymore. I still loved him despite everything, but I didn't know how to move forward. We have a mortgage on our apartment, and although it's in my name, we pay for it together. Soon we'll lose government assistance for our children, and we'll have to rely on John's income to get by. But John knows this, and I can feel how he's using that to his advantage. He's told me time and time again that he can do whatever he wants, that he's the one who brings in the money, and I should be grateful for it. He even said that he could have another girlfriend if he wanted, and I couldn't do anything about it. It felt like he was holding all the power in our relationship, and I was just a bystander. Our eldest daughter tried to talk to him. She told him how wrong it was, how much it hurt her to see him treating her mother like this. She begged him to stop, but John didn't care. He got angry with her too, telling her that she had no right to question him. He even said things that I would never have thought he could say to our children. He was hurting all of us, and it felt like there was nothing I could do to make it stop. One night, John didn't come home until the early morning. He claimed that he was working late, but I didn't believe him. He didn't call me, didn't send me a text. I stayed up all night pacing the house, waiting for him to come home. I was so scared. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know where he was or if he was with her. I was filled with anxiety, wondering if I was losing him for good. When John came home, he was angry. He told me to stop asking him questions, that he was tired of my constant suspicions. He didn't even try to explain himself, just told me I was making things worse. I didn't know how to handle it. How was I supposed to move forward when everything felt like it was falling apart? A few days later, John told me that he was going on a trip. I asked him if we could go together as a family, but he said no. He wanted to go alone. I couldn't understand why he would want to go on a trip alone, leaving me and our children behind. Was he going to see her? It seemed like everything he did was a reminder of how little I mattered to him. I also started noticing something else. Our financial situation was getting worse. I could see that our money was disappearing faster than usual. We weren't able to save as much, and every month it seemed like there was less to go around. I asked John where the money was going, but he just told me not to worry about it. But I couldn't help but worry. I checked our bank account, and that's when I saw it. John had been spending money on gifts and fancy dinners. He was spending money on his girlfriend while we were struggling to make ends meet. It felt like a slap in the face. He was choosing her over his family, over his children. The stress was starting to take a toll on me. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. I was always exhausted, always on edge. I went to the doctor and he told me that I was under too much stress. He said that I needed to take some time to rest. But how could I rest? I had so many problems to deal with. My husband was having an affair, we were losing money, and my family was falling apart. I felt like I had no control over anything. Our older daughter is also struggling. She's not the happy, talkative girl she used to be. She doesn't smile as much, and she's withdrawn. She doesn't want to hang out with her friends anymore. She's ashamed of her father and doesn't understand why he is doing this to our family. I worry about her every day, wondering how she is coping with all of this. My youngest daughter is still a baby, and she doesn't understand what is happening, but I worry about her future. I want her to grow up in a loving, stable family, but right now, everything feels broken. I talked to my best friend about everything, and she suggested that maybe I should leave John. But I feel trapped. I can't leave him. I can't take care of our children alone. We depend on his income to survive, and I have no job right now. I don't know how I would manage without him. My family has also been telling me to be strong, that maybe John will change. But I'm not sure. I'm scared that he will never change, that he will always choose his girlfriend over us. I don't know what to do anymore. I feel so lost, so weak. I still love John despite everything that's happened. I want him to. If you've ever faced betrayal or heartbreak in your own life, I want to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you can relate or want to support more stories like mine. Together we can find strength and healing.